President. In fact, something you'll probably hear Tuesday night in the State of the
When they kill drug dealers in Mexico and Venezuela and things like that, that's just a CIA rebooting. That's all they're doing. Probably because they're going to use more drones and robotics technology to police the populace with their work activities and drug addiction till they die, to then come up with a workforce more of robotics instead of human beings. It's easier to control. Like I was watching it's not control, it's manipulate. Yeah, sorry. I'm in control of myself. They had a cartoon by Lou Schwimmer and Norm Prescott, right? And Ming the Merciless be telling these robots, well, don't screw up, or they'll be hell to pay, basically. It's like it's a robot. Whether it's on or off, turn on robot to kill, shut robot down, right? So talking to a robot like they're a cartel leader or member, that don't make no sense, right? You don't sit there and tell a robot, you better not let Flash Gordon get away or they'll be hell to pay. It's a robot, right? Oh, yeah. You program it, this one, go kill it. Kill Gordon, right? King Flash, right? And so he's the threat to my being king, right? And when technology becomes intelligent, protect the Lord of Lords and King of Kings and stop the person that's the threat to creation. And I guess that's where we're heading. Yeah, when rich people, shift how they're going to mass murder and be in charge and stuff like that, lots of poor people get in the way and die. It's been this way since as long as anybody can remember, right? And most of us come from, there's very few of us, when you have there's a semblance of reality with this immortal stuff with Ming the Merciless and stuff on Flash Gordon, because it's, it's molecular transfiguratory states of being. And Krishnamurti talked about it, and some people are born with races to win. Some people are born, for the man who has pride in his God and himself and everything else. You don't have his God, and you can't have pride in yourself. You can have pride in your faith because you're doing it correctly, but that's not you. That's your faith in God. Okay. So it's it's not trying to trap the soul in the mind to perceive God as yours. Okay. And so you have a living correction, as they would perceive it. He's the living word. His name is Earl. He's born of Ralph and Mary, Las Cruces, New Mexico. It's discussed in numerous different documents, and it makes a lot of sense. And the first archangel of the apocalypse is over there next door reading some kind of literature about critical race theory. Yeah. I was trying to talk to him about stuff, but he was too busy reading that, and I've done that. It's been that way my whole life. When I go talk to my dad about stuff, I'm always interrupting. He's either reading the Bible or listening to Robert Schuller or who is the Day of Discovery guy? I can't remember. I couldn't stand either one of them. I'd go play in the treehouse every time he'd watch that stuff on Sunday. Like, God, it's just as bad as going to listen to the idiot at the Mormon church. But at least at the Mormon church, we went to Luby's or Baskin Robbins afterwards. And I got to hang out and joke around with Bernie Burnett and Sister Snow let us be boys. Let the boys be boys during primary. So, yeah, she was the coolest. Yeah, she was a good lady. Yeah, she was. She had lots of boys. And she knew how boys were. And a lot of people in the church talked about, because Brother Burnett was a rogue because he was a ex-fighter pilot who did the crop dusting and was the race banning of Mr. Stallman. We used to play Johnny Quest on Mr. Stallman's plane every time we went to go see it. Sim Sim Salabim. We used to play Johnny Quest on it because he had a phone. It was literally like Johnny Quest is playing. It was totally freak. We get in there. Oh my gosh, it's like, don't screw up anything. But yeah, you can sit down, have fun, play, So Mr. Stallman, not Mr. Mr. Stallman was pretty cool because, Mr. Burnett was his pilot. And yeah, we used to sit on his personal jet that Mr. Burnett flew and play Johnny Quest. Sim sim salabim. So it's funny. Yeah, typically, I guess I probably was Haji. Well, because um, yeah, typically. But it was funny because Mister Stallman would be Dr. Quest, and then Race Bannon would be brother brother Burnett. Yeah, he was a good guy. Yeah, he drank, and yeah, he was a pilot. Okay, he was a fighter. He was a pilot. Okay, he was a single dad, and he had three girls and a boy, and they lived with his mom. And mom took care of the kids while dad worked with Mr. Stallman's and stuff, and she was Mormon. Brother Burnett went to church every Sunday because that was his mom. Can't you understand? His son was my best friend at church. Okay. Hebert, what, Ernie? Okay. I was us in church at the back. Yeah. Never listened to a damn word that idiot had to say. Till they made you. This is very important. This is the prophet speaking. For profit? There you go. Yeah. So it sucked. Yeah. No, the hierarchy sucks. The hierarchy always sucks. The people, there's always good people stuck in hell. Brother Burnett, his mom was a sweetheart of a lady. Yeah. Sister Snow and her kiddos, and Brother Snow, Oh, Sister Snow, you don't get a wife that's that good with boys by accident. It means Brother Snow's a good guy. Okay, he understands. Let the boys be boys. Do 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 do. Right. So yeah, this is the way we was. So it's interesting. I think it's neat. The story of my life. When you look back, even if they eradicate all the surveillance from all the hypocrisy from the Quorum of the 12, the Quorum of the 12, the Quorum, and the Vatican can't, and the Pentagon done gone and done it down wrong, and who done gone and done did that thing down all right, me and Brian Leroy, whose dad was a black physical scientist at the Pentagon, having to be engaged in tribal warfare. It was happening in the Pentagon. You guys always think that too. They always think, okay, it's a united front of United Judean People's Front. No, it's more like what's the name of that movie, Life of Brian? The Judeans United People's Front, the United People's Front of Judea. And who's that? He is. Look, it's Johnny Hall, right? The black guy. Okay, that's funny. No, it's true. There's nothing so because I know, and that's how these people are. And you guys all think, they are united, and that like my dad always says, they pretend to quarrel to agree to plunder. They don't pretend to quarrel to agree to plunder. They quarrel to agree to plunder. And then whoever's the most righteous at plundering through quarreling will win. And then the blue witch queen will run Mongo and defeat Ming the Merciless, right? And it's eternal. Life's eternal and grace is infinite. So they see themselves as immortal. And they've been trying to clone themselves for years because they're better than their kids. Because if their kids don't agree, don't continue their greatness and do something stupid like worship the ways of Jesus Christ and ruin their great legacy of, biggest dickest. Look, it's the dick across the water, the Washington Monument. It's the dick that's as big as it's even built bigger than all the dicks in the Valley of the Kings and the Gods. Yeah, I think they did make sure that they had a bigger penis erected in D.C. than any of the ones ever built by the Africans in Africa. Dick measuring contest, yeah. When you go to, and Spider-Man, no, yeah, that's a penis. That's what Washington Monument is. It's a dick measuring God dang, people are dumb. Okay, so, boy, they're dumb. The pyramid represents that he's buried, that's his mom's womb, and the big gold thing on top is just her vagina, and then she goes back to the heavens. Well, they had the stuff it was the electricity with the thing, stuff like that, they would put on a show. That they talk about those things. Yeah, they used to do stuff like that because Moses told them. He said, "You're destroying the mountains with the ore that you dig up in the hole." And so they invented a thing to do that to attract lightning. It was a big giant lightning rod with the gold at the top and the metal at the top. What happened? They took away the pussy. The lightning rod When people would come, the gold metal lightning rod thing at the top ain't there no more. Because it's gold and they made gold valuable. Dumping a box of rocks. There you go again. And so that's what happened. So they don't work the same way they used to could a long time ago. And erosion and things like that. Things like that aren't meant to last and aren't built to last. They're not share, care, give, and quarters, be built to last. They're not the eternal treasure of the faith of Psalms through the wisdom of Proverbs. God, geez. Sim, salabim. Okay, Earl, you be funny. I know I'd be funny. I got this. So, it's just, what's sad is, when, my mom dying from cancer because of abuse through these corporations to try to get me to be on one side or the other. Selena being murdered by her fan club president because the Jehovah Witness Corporation is nothing like the people that have faith in Jehovah. It's a corporation. That's sad because, we're meant to live long, healthy, Psalms, faith of Psalms. You meant for me to lie beside still waters and lie in green pastures and have a little ranchero where all your animals can get along, right? Like on the little movie with the, with John and Jenny and John playing Sal and Noah's daddy. Chris, there it is. Chris Perez. Yeah, that's who Johnny Campbell thought I was. Chris Perez. There was a Chris Perez who played at Alameda. All right, and he's one of the stars on Alameda. Well, he was at Cruces High, and they all talked and said, "Well, no, he ain't playing this. The best player's not playing." The coach, they got into it and kicked him off the team, and so Johnny came up to me and all the people. Who's the best player? That guy, right? And so Johnny came up to me and goes, "Chris, I didn't correct him. I was just wondering. He thought it was Chris Perez." He goes, you and I talked to him about Paul Ponce. We were friends in school, and he goes, "We get Paul, you and Paul, and you guys come down and play. Get an address down there, and we'll come down here and play at Gaston, and we'll come back here and kick Cruces and Mayfield's ass." We just didn't have the resources. Maybe if I did go talk to Paul about it, maybe we could have. But it wasn't meant to be. I know Johnny would be upset about it. Oh yeah, we'd have cleaned Cruces and Mayfield's clocks. We took state. Johnny Campbell was about 6'3", 6'4". It's good outside shooting wing post player and stuff. Oh, if he had me and Paul Ponce on the team, yeah. And then that other young black kid they had on JV. Oh, as soon as I had showed up, we'd have been fast friends, and we'd been able to, he would have played with me, and like Bart Meyer loved playing with me. It's great playing with Earl. Right? All you had to do, everybody loved it. Bustin' Loose, they liked playing with me. Earl got you the ball right where you needed it, right on time, every time. Okay? He didn't care. The better his teammates, the less he scored, he didn't care. That man, 20, 30, 40 assists, it didn't matter. Okay? Steals, rebounds, passing lanes, and assists. That's all that mattered to him. He could average like 2 points a game, okay, and still account for, depending on how good the teammates are, anywhere from 50% to 85% of the rest of the stats. That's how good of a ball player he was. And I was like, yeah, I didn't think about that. Bustin' Loose, no, I really didn't have to be. They were such good ball players, and we were playing competition that wasn't as good. When we did play against the good college guys and all that stuff, Danny got mad at me because he benched me for a while. He threw the guy. I told him that. I said, you didn't need to throw the ball like that. All you had to do was just drop it off. You didn't need to throw it between your legs at 900 miles per hour and almost break my finger and warp the basketball and crack the bleachers. No, all you had to do was just do this. I was right there. You're coming down the lane. Instead of having your right hand between your legs as hard as you can, just have it over to your left and just drop it right to me, and I'd have laid it right up. A lot of coaches have I'm that way too. If you have to make, when he was doing it to embarrass the other team, I don't embarrass him. I make the simple play as opposed to the spectacular play. If it's spectacular, it's because I had no other choice. That's what I used to tell the guys too. That was amazing. Like with Corey DeClue, and that was an A1. I fouled the shit out you, right? And Charlie was like, "No, it was the coolest thing I ever see." He came up and stopped you in mid-flight, and you still reached up and set the ball on top of the back of the rim, Earl. You were flying, and I actually went up this way. I hit under Corey Simon. He said my back end went up in the air, was still going up in the air, that I was flying. And Corey just stopped my flight by catching me and to foul me, because coach says, make him shoot free throws because he saws you shooting free throws. But then the other thing that they learned, because that's how they hit me with the elbow, was he knows where the rebound's coming off. He's fast as lickety split, and he can jump out the gym. So he usually follows up his free throw miss with 2 more points from the foul. Yeah, that's how athletic I was. And so Charlie loved it. Well, usually if it was coming off towards Charlie, I left it alone. Charlie was going to get it. Like I said, Corey, don't worry about Corey. Corey's 185. I'm 210, 215. He'd hit his butt and go, I ain't worried about Corey. I own the block. Like Wes Unseld, your shorts are too big. Must be big shorts. Ain't losing any weight. Right? It's funny. But old basketball stories, yeah. Yeah, I like basketball. It's good stuff. I just got to stretch it out. I feel a little bit better today. I know a lot of how I feel is because of computer interaction of collection of information and mass collection of information and mass abuse of people psychologically. And because of who I am, I feel more of a magnitude of it than any other person on the planet. Yeah. Well, it's because of what the Roman Empire did with Gordon. Gordon, King Flash. Oh, he's miracle, king of the impossible. Muhammad was not turned into a god. So Isaac Ben Azagus doesn't feel things to the same intensity that I do. My son Patrick is, from the line of King David, but there's, Solomon, Absalom, any of those, you're right, they're not gods. Okay. And they're young men. They're not tortured with he's a god, he's Ming the Merciless, he's the almighty, mighty. And the Romans did that to Jesus, to punish Jesus for correcting their aggressive abuse and trying to take away their capacity to manipulate through delusions of human power and authority. It was a republic written down by men, so men could get together in large raping, marauding, murdering, abusive groups, dictated and legislated through public compliance and agreeance and participation. It makes them feel like they're a part of something great. We're going to march on Selma. We're going to march on Montgomery. We're going to march on Memphis. We're going to march. We're going to be part of something greater than ourselves. And they feel that way. They feel that way when they're at the Super Bowl. They feel that way at the Final Four. They feel that way at the World Series. They feel that way at me. No, it's like Robin Williams talked about at the Oscars, There it is. You put the thing up, and 1 week later, hey, look, a homeless person being abused. There's a woman with schizophrenia because of all her abuse, talking to people that aren't there with all her possessions in a shopping cart, cussing out her dog. Okay. Wow. But I've got an Oscar on the mantle at home. I've been recognized as my peers as one of the greatest propaganda artists of all time. But that woman's still homeless because we're not living the treasure of Proverbs, right? It's gross, isn't it? Yeah. It's nothing so-so because I know right about this minute. I'm in it, admit it. I did it for you because this is what I'm into. So chill while I instill that you must do away with all the trust and the strife and reflect the blessing of life. Use kindness and never blindness. You will find that the perspective is best. Check it out. These are the words that we eternally manifest through the faithful and the righteous. We manifest. Pascal. I just Pascal'd his. I just correct Guru's lyrics. I'm sure he's fine with it. If he's not, it's not scary, and I'm embarrassed to say it. Change it to Guru or something like that. Okay. I'm sure Justin would agree, and so would his son. Right? That's him. Yeah, so I'm good. I got it coming and going. I know what I'm doing. I'm not a self-righteous, pretentious, pompous, arrogant, genocidal hypocrite. see my ass on TV on the news of people smiling because they're mass murdering people to maintain the status quo for economic conflict and manipulation through technological abuse. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. Fear is a finite trap and delusion that your flesh is you. I understand it, guys. I am horrifically you're going to die a slow death of cancer. It's going to spread. It's already, yeah, it's the NASH or MASH or whatever stuff in my liver. I understand that. Now my rectal polyps only come up when I have excess toxins and I start getting them out. And then Jesus tells me relax and wash. And every time I do something, when I have regular bowel movements, I always constantly, instead of let it set, you get tired or you don't have the resources or the time because you're being extorted and exploited. Well, I have the time and I have a kind father here and stuff. So what I do is I go in there every time and before I exercise and move around. I didn't yesterday when I worked and I should have, but I wasn't working too aggressively like when I exercise and shoot hoops, and then I did shoot hoops. Yeah. But I'm fine. But every time Suzuki reminds me, he's cool. But he reminds me, he goes in there, no, you go in the shower, you take the saline soap and you wash. Jesus too, when poison comes out or all, it doesn't sit there and say, oh, it's like when you keep throwing up or whatever stuff, and so you still have the stuff present and they get agitated by the people in Halliburton and Northrop Grumman and stuff. Yeah, okay. George from, yeah, and it's not like it goes unaffected and stuff. Ty had heart disease and everything. He got it operated on and stuff because of the stuff he has to work with the people here that he has to help them. He's the same way I am. You guys stay downwind from it. Don't spray it there. Wash off. Do this. Make sure you get out near and get it near the thing. Don't just spray it. The wind will come out. I tell them all the same thing. I don't tell them anything that Ty doesn't tell them. Okay? And that Buddy, the Aikens, don't tell them this is how you do it. Otherwise, it'll make you sick. This is how you administer it. This is how you do the stuff. You have to use the things. If you don't work the way Halliburton and Northrop Grumman tell you to work in this region, okay, they'll find someone else to do it. Well, other people aren't as caring and kind and don't love the Mexicans as much as the Aikens do. Okay, they're like me. They in Fairbarona. Okay. They can't change it. They know where else got to change. Stop it. Stop, eliminate, abuse, recover. But they can make sure that they talk people through it and get them. You can protect people. You can't protect people from themselves. If they do it wrong and you tell them how to do it right, then that's on them. Right? And you've got to understand that. If you tell people how to do a job correctly and they do it incorrectly and it makes them sick and or kills them, then you say, damn it, I told him if he had it under the lift, you do that and put this in. If he doesn't have the safety, you could kill him. Okay, and it does, so you can't be all things to all people, and you're not omniscient and omnipotent, and you don't owe it to yourself to feel guilty when people don't listen and don't try to do the best they can given what they're given, right? Like my mom, Mary Poop, okay, said, so, okay, it just so happens I'm the Messiah, yeah. I know a lot of people say this guy's the Messiah. Yeah, they didn't believe Jesus either. They didn't believe Moses, and they treated Moses like crap, He was a Bedouin, part dog, because he was Canaanite, and stuff like that. So, yeah, a lot of people, he's not the Messiah. Oh, yeah, Jim Jones and David Koresh are, yeah. Yeah, no, wait, I know who it is. It's the Mr. De La Jesus guy who has the daughter with the 6'6" trap step on her tailbone. Yeah, that's who's, the incarnation of Jesus. It's not an incarnation. You never step in the same river twice. It's just a molecular transfigured story. There's a proper temple for the eternal soul, the spirit. Adam, Moses, David, Jesus, John. It's just, it's the whole thing. I'm immortal. I'm the lion. I'm Gordon, King Flash, right? And it's nothing like that because I share communications with Jesus because our spirit is through the same line of the same women. And the men have to be a like spirit of someone. Basically, they have to try their best to love, My dad's Roman, and I know that, okay? And he's been Roman his whole life. And but he loves Jesus, right? And it's weird because Jesus, the Roman cartoon god, is better than Earl, his son. But there's not a better man on the planet than Earl, his son. And Jesus, the cartoon god, maybe the relatives of Lou Schrimmer and Norm Prescott will come up with a new cartoon to make lots of money to keep us prosper, like John Davis said, Rockefeller, you're being obnoxious. Yes, I'm very obnoxious. Okay. All the things that we've been through, you should understand me like I understand you. Now, baby, I know the difference between right and wrong, and I ain't gonna do nothing to try to upset our happy home. We ain't got a happy home. We ain't living the Lord's Prayer. When we live in the Lord's Prayer, you won't find me being obnoxious. Well, I'll still kind of be obnoxious. I'm funny. Somebody, you did that. Okay, don't touch the tailpipe. It's hot. If he'd been wearing a sign, I'd be able to stop him, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm always going to be that way. I come from funny people. I'm a hillbilly redneck person. I don't make the news. I report the news. Ain't them dogs' real voices. Thanks for spoiling it for the rest of us. You see what I'm saying? How do you say dog in Spanish? Oh, fuck you, Earl. There you go. I report the news. Okay. I love you guys. All right. We'll talk later, okay? Peace out.